Nicola Askham here, back for another in the Ask the Data Governance Coach video series. And today I want to look at the issue of whether we should call it data literacy or data fluency. Now, data literacy is a term that has only really become popular in the last few years, but actually we've been addressing and tackling data literacy or a lack of it in our organizations for many years as part of doing a data governance initiative. As you will know, particularly in the early stages, data governance is more about the people than the data. And what we need to do is to achieve a culture change or a mindset shift to get people to recognize that their data is an asset. And because it's an asset, it needs to be managed as one. And people need to care about protecting it and the quality of it and making sure that even we understand what it is and where it is. So I totally understand and support this movement to increase and promote data literacy. But in a recent conversation with one of my associates, David made a really good point. And he said, should we really be calling it data literacy? And he advised me there's a growing movement of calling it data fluency. And I was really interested by this. And it makes so much sense. Because if you think about it, if somebody said to you that you were illiterate, you'd be pretty offended because that means you can't read or write. But in effect, we don't go to people and say, well, you're data illiterate, but it is in effect what we're saying to them when we start saying we're launching a data literacy program because we need people to understand how to manage their data. And that's not the case at all. People do understand how to manage data to a degree. It's just that they're perhaps not doing it to the degree that they ought to be or we would like them to be. And, as we've already said, this is all about a mindset shift and a culture change. It's not off to a very good start if we start by telling people you're illiterate, so we've got to train you. And I do think that David and the groups that he belonged to make a really good point. Data fluency is a much better way of articulating it. So to take an analogy, if you think about it, I learned French for many years at school, and I have an exam to say that I'm qualified in French. I don't go to France very often. So, I can, when I go on holiday, I can read menus, I can order in restaurants, I can have very simple conversations with people. But if they talk back to me and talk too quick, it takes me too long to process and translate what they're saying and then think of the words I need to say back to them. So clearly, I am not hugely fluent in French, but I am literate in French. I can read and write in French. So I'm not illiterate when it comes to French. I'm just not as fluent as I should be. And I think the thing with fluency, again, is a really good analogy to how we talk about people's understanding and use of data. Because my French is fluent enough to survive on holidays. If I were to move to France and live in France, I am not fluent enough. And I would need to perhaps go and do some more language lessons and perhaps just conversation classes and practice to get it more fluent and be able to survive and live on a day-to-day basis. And that's kind of what we need to think about when it comes to the data fluency of the people in our organization. Not everybody in your organization needs to be a data scientist and be able to apply advanced statistical techniques to data. But we do want everybody to recognize that data is an asset. And then depending on their role, we may need them to be more fluent in data than otherwise. So I really am embracing this term data fluency. I think it is much better. It resonates much better than data literacy. So I'd encourage you to try it when having conversations in your organization and let me know how you get on and what you think. You may disagree. I'm always interested to hear people's thoughts. So I hope you found this useful. If you have, please help me spread the message by liking and sharing this on your choice of social media channel. And if you've got a question that you'd like me to address on a future video, just email it in to questions@nicolaaskham.com.